YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back. This is going to be another video that was sent to me by Robin, and somebody like, yeah, you're showing all his replays. Okay, I intermixed it a little bit. It's okay. I always get people to get mad whenever it seems like I go on a theme, but that's all right. Talking about the vampires, and honestly, the more I've learned from Robin, the more I've kind of actually felt myself leaning towards that the vampires probably do need a nerf here or there. I don't want anything extreme. I want them to be a good faction, and they are. And I kind of like the way they play in a very rushy manner. I'm just not convinced that when you look at the grand scheme that they aren't maybe a little too strong in some cases. I think some factions can fight them better than others, and then other factions is just hopeless, like Chaos and Beastmen. In any case, let's check out the vampire army is skeleton warriors, cryptors, Vlad, a lot of bats, one black knight, and then there's some tithe zombies. And the real unit that I wanted to talk about here is the black coach. The black coach took a pretty serious buff in the last patch that I don't even fully understand yet, and some of you in the comments may be able to help me with it, but I know that it has abilities that are activated by spending time in melee. So for instance here you can see the black coach just plowing through, and over time in melee its charge bonus and charge speed will get increased first, and then that's followed up by, I believe it's, hang on, let me look at these abilities. Let's pause it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So these abilities right here on the black coach, black scythes I believe is the first one that gets turned on, and it gives a pretty big buff to charge bonus, which is already a high charge unit, and then you get a bunch of charge speed, which is handy, almost a fifth more of your speed. And then, okay, so Unholy Vigor is the second one, and it turns it into fire damage and 36% more armor piercing, and there is already a lot of armor piercing here. It's at 90, so when that goes up, that's going to be over 100 armor piercing damage. And the very last one, Black Nimbus, gives it Strider, which means that even if it's in the woods or a swamp or whatever else, it continues at the same speed and gets 44% damage resistance. So the Black Coach is still a little bit shaky if it gets up against a unit like this, which I believe is, yeah, Boris Todbringer's trying to put an end to it, and it will take an absolute throttling. But again, you can see the pick of units here. See, the Cryptors have high mass, and the Demigryph Knights and Boris struggle to get through them to get to the units like the Black Coach or Vlad. And then this is a nice touch over here too, using the Cairn Wraiths. Cairn Wraiths aren't in and of themselves absolutely devastating in the damage they cause. They induce terror, and that's really what I find Cairn Wraiths to be good at. They induce terror and they're fast. So again, the Black Coach just absolutely plowing through here. That you can see on the bottom, the Black Nimbus, or Black Scythes is already up. And you can see that the Black Coach is just being continually rolled around the battlefield. It also causes terror. So it can be a real problem. And you can see they're nice avoiding of the nets there, because the nets are one of the few things that Empire has that they can try and use against the vampires. So nice avoidance of the nets. And the Black Coach, the longer it spins in melee there, the longer it's gonna, or the more likely it is to turn on those other buffs. You can see the Empire struggling mightily to deal with the vampires right now. Here in the center, the Empire is finding some success, but it's an uphill battle. The Flagellants and Boris and the others definitely putting an end to some of the Cryptors there. But meanwhile, the Black Coach is being used to just run off along with the Black Knights. Black Knights are such a cool unit. They're not particularly great, but they're a fun unit and they look cool. You can see the Black Coach being used with them to run off Empire troops, and kind of getting like all weird and glitchy here too, but it's going to come and swing back in, and it's now got its second thing up there, which is the, I don't remember the name of it, Unholy Vigor. So now it's got considerably more weapon strength, and when you look at it, it's 122 armor piercing damage, which, think about that into the back of a high-value armored infantry, like a greatsword or a Chosen. So the Black Coach is no longer a joke. In the latest patch, it's actually pretty decent if you know how to use it right. So I think there'll be scenarios where it's pretty good, and scenarios maybe where it doesn't serve as much purpose. Ooh, look at that rear charge by the Black Knights, just gruesome. So what makes the Vampire so strong in my opinion? Why at the beginning of the battle did I mention that I think that they may really be a little stronger? Like I said, I think the more I've seen them used by a high-ranking player like Robin, the more I realize just how devastating they can be when used properly. So maybe from your average player, the vampires are tough, but not unbeatable. But as I look at what Robin's doing right here, I know that even as a player who's spent quite a bit of time in the game, and I understand I'm not anywhere near the top of the list in multiplayer, and I never have been, but I would struggle heavily to ever come up with a way to beat this. Now, if someone's just a better player than me, like your Robin most likely is, and so many others are, then, you know, no army pick or anything like that should save me, right? But at least if there were some factions out there who were kind of guaranteed to give the vampires grief in the same way that certain factions are guaranteed to give others grief, like greenskins can really give the Empire grief because of their really good infantry. And then Bretonnia is also really strong right now. I'll say that. I don't know if I'd really want to say that Bretonnia and the vampires are OP. They could be. They're really good. They're really good. I don't think they're the only good factions, but they are really good. And I think that the Fey Enchantress, for instance, with her Grail Guardians and stuff, or Grail Knights, can be incredibly intimidating and tough to beat. And Foot Squires are quite a bargain. So I think there's a lot of things that make Bretonnia very good right now in terms of different lores of magic and everything that they have at their availability. And I think the vampires are also very good. I used to say that the Empire was the best faction in this game, hands down. I don't know. As of the last week or so, I'm not convinced. I'm not really sure though. Like I'm having a discussion here more than anything and telling you where my feeling is at the moment. And I would have to say that just overall, I probably would feel like the vampires are probably the most versatile faction in terms of being dangerous to the most enemies. But the Empire still does maintain a huge amount of diversity. It's got a lot of magic. Demigryph Knights are very good. Steam tanks have an interesting use. The Empire has access to different artillery that can be useful in certain situations. They have cheap infantry. Their high-end infantry, not so good. They have flagellants, which are unbreakable. So the Empire definitely has an arsenal of tools that are quite good. But like I said, I almost just kind of feel like the vampires have a slightly better. I think that since you can summon so many dead, and think about it, if you bring like a necromancer, and let me just show you what I'm talking about in terms of summoning, just to give you all an example. Let's go to the custom battles real quick. And again, this is a discussion. I'm not 100% convinced. I'm telling you what I think. I'm open to other ideas, and I'd be curious to see some stuff in the chat. And be nice to each other in the chat, too, by the way. Sometimes y'all get a little bit carried away on each other when we're getting hyped up about something. I'm going to go into just summon dead with a few characters. So, like, for instance, if we get Necromancer. So, we don't want any Invocation. Now, you could put Invocation on here, but I'm just trying to show you how much dead the vampires can summon and how quickly they can do it. Scroll of Leeching. Yeah, that one right there is the one I want. Alright, so let me just give you a quick demonstration. And we'll give them like an Empire Captain or something just to balance out the settings. Alright. So, how many dead can a few of these sorcerers summon if you have them? The answer is a lot. So, for instance, if the vampires wanted to bring like a whole bunch of monstrous infantry or something to where they didn't have anywhere near a full stack, because you can't summon more than a full stack. So you have to have an open position down here in your stack. And we're even starting with relatively low winds of magic right now. But let's just give you an idea just how quickly and how much you can summon. Let's see, so I've already got 3 zombies up. And now, though, I'm having to wait on the winds of magic. And this is assuming that the vampires don't have any winds of magic. So even there with very low winds of magic, I started with 9. I've already got 4 units of zombies up, just to show you all how quickly I can do it. And the only reason I can't summon more right now is because of the winds of magic. So if I quit and then come back into the battle, we might start with higher winds of magic. I hate that that's random too. Like Creative Assembly in Warhammer 2, put a setting in here where the players in a custom battle can choose the beginning winds of magic. I like that it's random in quick battle, but it should be a choosable option in multiplayer or custom battles for sure. So let's see. Okay, there we start with 15 winds of magic, so we can be a whole lot more effective here. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration. Let's actually walk up to the Empire units and act like we're going to get in a fight. just show you how much grief. Now, the Empire units would actually have a probably pretty decent chance of actually just straight up winning this melee fight, but let's say, for instance, you have a cavalry charging. Yep. Not anymore, you don't. So that's one way that Summon the Dead can be useful. Just look at this, watch. I can summon up to 21 zombies. So I think this is one of the reasons why vampires are probably borderline OP. Now, granted, you don't see this a lot, but I actually have seen it before, where vampire players come in and bring 3 summoners and do this kind of thing to you. I'm finally out of Winds of Magic. And there are abilities that vampires can bring. And just look at the weight of the undead that's being thrown against the enemy lords here. And if these guys are about to escape out the back of a formation, again, just summon more dead and they can't get away. So you can trap units in. You can get the rear charge penalty even with a summon unit of zombies, and a rear charge penalty is the same as if a big cavalry unit were to rear charge. So there's a lot of people that hate that, and understandably so. We don't even need the Scroll of Power that I brought in order to summon more zombies. All we need is just the Winds of Magic to cooperate. It only takes 3 Winds of Magic for a unit of zombies. It takes a little more for skeletons. And they did raise the amount of magic required, and they capped it at 7. But again, if I bring 3 spellcasters, that means I can have 21 summons. So it probably ought to be limited as an overall number, not just limited by the number of spellcasters. So again, just look, this is just summoned units. Look at the amount of summon units that the vampires can bring up. And again, this was with a mediocre start in Winds of Magic. We started with like 15. Imagine what it's like if we start with more. So there you go. We're going to almost outweigh the Empire with just summoned units. Look at that. They've already had to kill 80 some odd units. If you stick zombies down, let me give you another quick example. Let's concede defeat. I'll show you another example of, just how dangerous vampires can be with this ability. So let's do this real quick. Stick him on a Barded Nightmare. And let's go ahead and throw a unit of Blood Knights out here. And let's go up against... let's get an Empire Captain, or General of the Empire. Stick him on a Barded Warhorse. He's got his abilities. We won't give him any items for the time being. And then let's give him a unit of Demigryph Knights. Now, Demigryph Knights lose to Blood Knights head-on anyway, but this is just going to give you an example of how much worse it can be. I won't use any Invocation of Nahak, so there won't be any Invocation. I'll just use Raise the Dead to prove a point here. So the Blood Knights already have an advantage over the Demigryph Knights in the sense that they have a better charge. So just watch. Give you all a quick demonstration. Alright, so here's the enemy Demigryph Knights. They're going to want to charge me, and we could do this while in motion too, but... Alright, look, Demigryph Knights, kiss your charge goodbye. So interrupted, and then now it's going to be hard for the Demigryph Knights to even get a hit on my Blood Knights because there'll be so many zombies in the way. And now I can make it where the Demigryph Knights can't retreat. So now I've raised the dead and the Demigryph Knights can't get away, and it makes it even harder for them to get a hit on me. So now I can just collapse on the Demigryph Knights. See how the General of the Empire is trying to get away back here? He's trying to pull out. Oh no, he doesn't. Again, this is without even any healing. Now I've got a Skeleton Warrior in here too. It's going to be even harder for the General of the Empire to cut out. And just look how quickly the vampires can muck up this situation with just summons. So if you go to engage them on a flank and you don't have a pretty good plan, now right now the Demigryph Knights are actually lighting up my Vampire Lord, but I'll just get out of the way. I'm trying to get my Blood Knights in here, yeah. So see, a Vampire Lord can use units like this to hide, or can just chase the enemy Lord off with the summon Skeleton Warriors, and we'll let my Vampire Lord stay in here and just look. Blood Knights, Demigryph Knights have to face all the zombies, and look how easily the Blood Knights are keeping pace on them. And then we got the enemy Lord, and let's say the enemy Lord, oh look, he's about to charge us back in the back again. He's trying to get away. No, he's not. See, now he's having to try and plow zombies out of the way. Just see how annoying you can get with the vampires. So I don't know. The summon ability is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I'm actually surprised the Demigryph Knights have lasted this long. It could be that my Blood Knights aren't getting a whole lot of hits on them either. There we go. See, the Demigryph Knights have to kill all the zombies. So yeah, there you go. Vampires. What do you think? Give me your thoughts. I'm actually surprised the Demigryph Knights are doing this well. It probably would have been better for me to just do the charge, because my charge is so much better than the Demigryph Knights, and then turn around and drop the zombies, because that interrupted my own charge too. Maybe. I don't know. But thoughts on the vampires, guys? Let me know. Have a conversation in the comments. Please be civil. You know where my thoughts are at this point. I feel like maybe they're a little bit over the line because of this, well, the summoning. There's other things that one has to question, and this is the thing though, is like usually whenever Creative Assembly nerfs something, they nerf it into the ground, and I don't like that. There's a lot of things about the vampires that I like, a lot of unique tools that they have, like ethereal units and the monsters and everything, and I absolutely love it. There's a few fairly questionable things in my mind though, like Cryptors, they're good at everything. About the only thing they're not good at, well, I mean, they're good at everything. They can help hunt down cavalry. They can help hunt down infantry. They can help hunt down lords. They can keep things from fleeing. They poison. They're armor piercing, and they regenerate. About the only downside they have is they don't have a shield or armor. But for 800 gold, man, they're a bargain. Absolute bargain. So, Blood Knights, I'm not saying they shouldn't be some of the best cavalry, if not the best cavalry in the game. They should be very good. But that's another tool in the vampire arsenal. Couple that together with summon, not just healing, but resurrection. The only real downside that the vampires face is their leadership. It's low, but I don't know, if you're using them right, it's pretty hard for the enemy to break that leadership to the point where you crumble. Even though their units do have low leadership. Now, I'll say where they do have a downside is the vampires don't go toe-to-toe in infantry fights with people. Graveguard, they're not all that great. They have a bit of a bonus versus infantry. We can see that there. But they're not that great. Graveguard with great weapons, you really don't want them to go head-to-head with other like-minded infantry. They'll lose that fight. They have a few good units, but typically their infantry is not what's going to win them the day. It's their monsters, their support units, their spells. So in my mind, that's what makes them dangerous. Hey, hope y'all enjoyed this. Appreciate MSI sponsoring the channel. Appreciate you, my awesome viewers, for being here. And hope you are indeed enjoying the content. If you are, click the logo in the bottom right-hand corner and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the new videos. And I hope to see you there in the battlefields of Warhammer and other games. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now.